Hi guys, James Orr, founder of Decisive Trading, and I am terrified of the financial markets. That actually sounds like the start to some sort of Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, but anyway, it sounds a little bit counterintuitive. I trade full time, I sit down every day in front of the charts and I look for trade setups and I use it as an income source. So how can I possibly be terrified of the financial markets and trading? What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you why I have that fear of trading, and then I'm also going to talk you through why I actually think it's a very healthy way to be. So when most people first come to trading, and I am including myself in this category, we come with this sort of with a self-entitled attitude. When we're kids, our mums, our dads, they tell us we're special, they tell us we can achieve anything we want to achieve, and we sort of get it in our head that we are a little bit special. So when we're told that something's going to be extremely hard work, when we're told that lots of people fail at it, when we're told that lots of people get themselves in real financial difficulty trying to achieve something, we just kind of brush it off. We listen to the warnings, we sort of accept it a little bit, but in our heads we're thinking, yeah, but that's everybody else, they're idiots. I'm different, I'm special. I'm going to do it faster, I'm going to do it better, I'm going to make more money than anybody, and it's going to be a relatively easy process. That's exactly how I came to trading. It's exactly how most people come to trading. Now, the reality was very, very different. I lost a lot of money. I can still remember the worst day I ever had. I've sort of touched on it a few times with the channel, but the worst day I've ever had, I can still remember. I was trading in my bedroom at that time. I had my desk against the wall, and I just sat down and I just went into self-destruct mode. Now, the gains that I'd had up until then were done terribly. It was emotional trading. It was just hitting buy, hitting sell, trying desperately to make money every day. And I was having wild swings of profits and losses, but for the most part, I was managing to sort of claw myself forward. And I thought I was trading. But obviously, with that type of trading, eventually, things come unstuck. And that's what happened to me that day. I mean, I sat down at around about 7 in the morning. I think I was done by about 4 p.m. And through the entire day, I just lost money. I didn't move from that seat. I didn't go to get a drink of water. I don't even think I went to the toilet. I just sat there all day, focused on the screen, losing money. At the end of that day, I had lost a huge amount of money. To me at that time, it was astronomical. It was well into 5 figures, and a relatively high 5 figures. I'd basically given back everything that I'd made through that terrible trading and a lot more. And I felt absolutely awful. I'm talking this huge wave of depression. I felt worthless. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'd basically thrown away everything that I had because I didn't approach trading in the right way. And that sort of developed this fear of the financial markets. Maybe fear is interchangeable with respect. I started to respect the financial markets and I started to respect trading. Because up until then, I had no plan. Well, I had a plan, but it was just a stupid plan. Anybody can say they have a plan, but if it's a ridiculous plan, it doesn't count. And that's what I had. And I was just losing money over and over and over again. I was gambling, making these big wins, then I was just hammered by the markets and I gave it all back. Now, what tends to happen is most people go through that phase. Maybe they don't lose quite as big, but they all go through the losses. And then you have this sort of period where you think to yourself, what am I going to do next? A lot of people, they just step away from trading. For me, I had decided I'm not going to step away. That I want to do this, I want to make it work. So I had to completely change because I knew that the approach that I had been taking didn't work. And I knew I didn't want to ever feel like that way again. So I had to start treating trading with respect. And I started to fear the financial markets. And by having that approach, it allowed me to start developing a more consistent plan. And I don't just mean the plan of, when the moving averages are here and your trading entry candle is here, you take the trade. I'm talking about a plan of keeping myself as safe as possible. I was no longer looking to take 5, 10, 15 trades a day. I was no longer looking to have a loss. and then I would just spend the rest of the day determined to make it back. I wouldn't leave until I'd made that money back. Because I started to understand that the only way to make this work was to start treating trading like a business. I had to start taking it very seriously. I started looking at the professionals who had been trading long term. None of them were doing what I had been doing. None of them were looking for those wild swings of profits. None of them were gambling on these crazily volatile markets because they might catch this one big trade. None of them were expecting to become millionaires in a few months. And what that approach did for me is it allowed me to start making consistent profits. So every time I sit down at the charts today, not from that day, I wouldn't say from that day, it wasn't like a light switch. I still made lots of mistakes, but I started to develop this respect and this fear for the markets. And now when I sit down at the charts, I'm not in that mindset of I have to make money today. I'm not in that mindset of if I have a loss, it's this catastrophic thing and I need to make it back straight away. Because now I understand the damage that can be done through that type of thinking. I developed a fear and a respect for the markets. And once you have that fear and that respect, it allows you to start to focus on doing things properly. As I've said, it might sound very counterintuitive, but I find it is a very healthy way to trade effectively because I understand what lies on the other side of doing things properly. So there's basically this line, and that's my fear line. And I know if I start to stray over to the left into the ways that caused all the damage before, I am likely, very likely, almost certain if I keep doing it, going to end up back at my desk, different desk now, different room, trading completely differently, but I will end up at my desk going through those same emotions. I will feel worthless. I will have thrown away everything that I've made. I'll be back to square one. I'll have done damage to myself psychologically as well as financially, and I will feel like crap. If I stick to this side of that line of respect and fear, I know that I can consistently trade effectively. And it doesn't matter that I'm not making these wild profits that I used to make on this side, because I also don't make those wild losses. It's a completely different approach. Instead of looking for fast cash, I'm now just looking for as safe cash as I can, as well as consistent as I can. I don't need to make huge gains. I know if I start to have losses, eventually, if I just continue to follow my plan, it'll start to come back, and then I'll be back into profitability and it'll start to grow once again. If I have a down day, a down week, it doesn't matter because I know it's all part of the process. And that fear keeps me on the trading plan and keeps myself disciplined. If I didn't have that, if I was still into this sort of different type of fear, the fear where I feared losing money, or where I feared that I wasn't going to make these huge profits, or maybe the fear that I wasn't actually special and able to do it differently to all these other people. If I was still on that side, I would still be going through the motions of funding an account, blowing the account, funding the account, blowing the account, funding the account, blowing the account. I would be that person, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. So by learning to treat the markets with respect and having that fear, I have enabled myself to start to trade effectively. Maybe that's even why I prefer trading as in day trading rather than longer term trading, because I don't like to have positions open overnight. I know that the markets sometimes can make wild swings. And for me personally, I'd rather have my period of sitting down at the computer, trading, and then finishing up for the day. So what am I suggesting to you guys? I'm suggesting that you start to look at the markets and treat them with respect. If you are hoping to do this, rather than, you always get the people who come into trading and they just want to put a few £100 in a trading account and play around. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. But if you are looking to do this consistently, long term, you have to have that fear and that respect for the markets. You have to understand that if you allow yourself to be dragged to the left of that fear line and you start doing the stupid shit that causes the losses and that causes you to sit at your desk feeling terrible feeling worthless in yourself, you're just going to go through the ringer over and over and over again. Whereas if you have that fear line and you stick to the right of it, and you use that fear line to keep you pushed to the right of the fear line, it's going to help you tremendously with your trading. Okay guys, so that is why I am terrified of the financial markets and why I think that is a healthy place to be. As always, I hope this was helpful. I hope you're all having a good trading week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.